well do you know the PS2? For as famous as the iconic console's library is, I'm betting there are at least a couple of games I'll talk about today that you've never even heard of. I'm Jimmy for Cultured Vultures, and let's start off with something a bit groovy. Unlike some other horror movie franchises, how have we never had a Final Destination game? There's actually been quite a few Evil Dead games over the years, and while they've never exactly been sterling, oh me, oh my, they almost always manage to capture the kitsch B-movie charm and comedy of the source material. Evil Dead Regeneration for the PS2 in particular nails it the best, even though the game's story does disregard the events of Army of Darkness for a whole new adventure instead. The action itself kicks off after the events of Evil Dead 2 with Ash locked inside the Sunny Meadows Asylum. If that's not bad enough for everyone's favourite one-armed hero, the asylum's doctor and certified Mr. Fancy Pants, Reinhard, is using the Necronomicon to take over the world. Why must they always use these tools of evil for evil? Playing as Ash, you'll carve and shoot your way through hordes of Deadites alongside a half-Deadite ally named Sam, chasing Reinhard down in an attempt to stop his fiendish plans. Sam, by the way, is voiced by Ted Raimi, brother of Sam Raimi. Regeneration is admittedly not the most polished game ever made, and Sam can be exceedingly annoying, but if you're still looking for a bit more Bruce Campbell in your life, that is a PS2 as hell PS2 game, Evil Dead Regeneration should be making its way into your playlist. People are still longing for a proper ninja stealth game along the lines of Tenchu these days, though you should really check out Aragami by the way, but Yakito Online grabbed our attention with their comment, when you want a better and non-linear Tenchu game with more mechanics, Shinobido is the game for you. Developed by Acquire, who previously created the Tenchu game, so there you go, there's a bit of synergy. Shinobido Way of the Ninja bears a lot of similarities to their earlier work, only more open-ended in how players choose to approach the game. You play as an amnesiac ninja who wakes up on the riverside to a mysterious message. Apparently he's one of the last surviving members of the Asuka clan, and in order to find answers and retrieve his memories and soul, he'll need to ally himself with one of the three prominent warlords vying for control of Utakata. Yes, it's a bit like mercenaries. You're free to choose missions from one of the three main warlords, with those missions falling into one of over a dozen different objectives. While there's some story missions and moments that are scripted, your path to becoming a master ninja is yours to walk, whether you choose to approach the story like one ruler's rabid attack dog or perform missions unseen for every faction so none of them learn of your betrayal. It's tough and unforgiving, but for stealth fans it might be a shocks to the system. While bringing up the word shocks in the year 2025 might make people think of Nike trainers, Shocks the game is proof that the PS2 had a huge love affair with rally games. Regrettably, Shocks flew under the radar a bit, but that's probably not much of a surprise when its competition was the likes of V-Rally 3 and the Colin McRae Rally series, but that doesn't mean Shocks should be left resigned to history. Hell, it's part of the EA Sports big label, and as card-carrying members of the SSX fan club, it's our duty to show love to a fellow big boy. Big. Also known as Shocks Rally Reinvented, players took one of over 20 licensed rally cars from manufacturers like Subaru, Ford, Mitsubishi, BMW and more, and would take them through a World Championship season of 30 races. That isn't how rally has been reinvented here, as the key gimmick in Shocks' arcade-style gameplay is the Shock Zones, which would basically serve as mini time trials players would complete within races. The better your performance during a Shock Zone, the better your cash prize, with gold in all three zones on a track triggering a Shocks wave that offers even more money. Admittedly, if me saying it 1 million times hasn't already done it, playing this game will probably make you sick of seeing the word shocks, but the rally gameplay on offer here is wonderful in a very unpretentious way, and I wouldn't alter it for anything. Anything. While I'm not sure his photo ID is up to snuff, Mr. McLovin1995 offered a solid suggestion in the comments. Here's one that's never talked about, and I swear my buddy and I are the only ones who know of its existence: Alter Echo. Developed by Outrage Games, a studio that would be acquired in 2002 and then subsequently shuttered by THQ within a year, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Alter Echo is an action platformer that possibly has the most 2003 cover art ever seen. Look at that. Look how beautiful that is. That would absolutely be on my pencil case. Set in the far-flung future, humanity has evolved to where certain people have developed psychic abilities. Referred to as shapers, they use a material called plast to create whatever they like. But to cut a long story short, a powerful shaper named Parvo has created a better version named Echoplast, but he's gone mad and shot your shit down. Shot your ship. Not shit. Luckily, Echoplast has gained sentience, giving you a new suit to kick Parvo's butt. As a 3D action platformer, you're given 3 different forms to approach combat with, from sword to gun to weird frog stealth suit, and while the environments get a bit samey after a while, the combat will keep you hooked. It's very, very, very PS2, and we wish we could summon more games like it. Volition were, rest in peace, known for a great many different games or franchises down the years. Some know them for Saints Row, others for their work on The Punisher. Well, no one can forget the Red Faction series. Whippers one and all. I even liked Armageddon a good bit. There you go, that's my deepest truth. However, less people might know of their fantasy RPG work, with the Summoner games offering some excellent, underrated RPG thrills on a console that's quite frankly filled to the brim with top-tier RPGs. The first Summoner game is still good, serving as one of the first games to launch on the PS2 in North America, but the sequel is a much more well-rounded game. Playing as Maya, who is a reborn goddess who can transform into several different creatures at will, Summoner 2 sees Maya form an adventuring band to try and heal the Tree of Elah, fighting monsters, gods and creatures alike in the process. While the first game had a hybrid system of turn-based and real-time combat, Summoner 2's more action-oriented approach is much more engaging, and the story encourages a lot more choice, especially when it comes to the development of the overall kingdom. Depending on where you donate your money and the choices you make in combat, some elements will change in the later course of the game. A lot of people know Summoner 1, of course, from the PlayStation 2's early days, but I don't think a lot of people really even know that Summoner 2 exists, and that's a shame because it's a total trip that's well worth taking.
Those crazy videos have got a spicy move.
Shout out to Anime Bros AMV, who reminded us of a grave error we'd love to correct. Total Overdose is not a game you hear about these days. Would love to see it in the next one. We did speak about Chili Con Carnage, if that counts for anything though. The most unabashed ripoff of several established formulas. Total Overdose is a janky mess of a game, but its silly charm, fun gameplay, and excellent soundtrack make it a true PS2 highlight for a number of people. Set on the border between the US and Mexico, Total Overdose, as the name would imply, is about the DEA's war on drugs, with Ramiro and his brother Tommy investigating the gangs of Mexico in the hopes of finding a lead about their dad's mysterious disappearance. Instead of piecing together clues and interviewing suspects, Ramiro's method of investigation is a bit more Frank Reynolds and involves dual-wielding pistols and slow-motion dodging his way through hordes of goons while some Mexican hip-hop or rock plays in the background. It's awesome, and remember kids, bullet time is always fun time. The core gameplay is clearly inspired by Max Payne, while Total Overdose also has one of the more pointless open worlds to explore in gaming, because GTA did that, so why not Total Overdose do that also, Total Overdose is just perfect, switch your brain off and press buttons until all things die, gaming fun, and the world could do with more of it. We're not rolling the dice on an HD port of this one though, like, ever. Yes, licensed and tie-in games usually suck, etc, but an unwritten rule is that anime adaptations can often be exempt. Sure, you get some that are a bit naff, but for the most part they're at least usually kind of fun. One such adaptation for the PS2 was DICE, DNA Integrated Cybernetic Enterprises, and though I'm not going to say that it's a masterpiece, there are some interesting gameplay ideas on offer here that it's baffling they weren't stolen wholesale by Transformers. It also puts an acronym within an acronym, and you've got to appreciate that really. Based on the Bandai anime of the same name that was developed specifically for North American audiences, the game allows you to pick from one of 11 characters from the show, each with their own Dino Breaker mount. The crux is that Dino Breakers can morph between their regular dinosaur form, which is used in beat-em-up style combat, and a vehicle form, which is used for various racing missions or to travel across levels as quickly as possible. Kinda clever. The core gameplay is fairly simple, and it didn't really review that well, and again, it's not the best game in the world, but the series was aimed at kids after all, making it a perfect anime game for the tykes to enjoy. If your child still plays the PS2 and isn't cranking 90s on Fortnite, do they still crank 90s in there? It used to be with it, and then they changed what it was. Sneaky Skunk, any relation to this guy, isn't the only one in the comments sticking up for Steambot Chronicles, but they definitely put their best foot forward when they said, Steambot Chronicles, aka Bumpy Trot, is a fun pseudo open world action RPG for the PS2. If this video gets a sequel, then that is my 2 cents on hidden gems for that great system. Well, we'll be taking those 2 cents now. Please, we need them. We do not have any sponsors. No raid Shadow Legends, not even a raid really, not even a scuffle, not even a kerfuffle. As Mr. Skunk alluded to, Steambot Chronicles was known as a Bumpy Trot in Japan, which sounds like some forgotten horse wrestling anime, and I love it. Players control Vanilla R. Beans, who awakens on a beach with amnesia after an apparent shipwreck. Before long, you're joined by Coriander, the lead vocalist of the Garland Globetrotters, no relation to Harlem, and the pair of you find a run-down Trotmobile that's basically a walking car, and you embark on a world-spanning adventure. The Trotmobiles are used for exploration and combat, with players able to customize their Trotmobile to fit one of several different archetypes. Perhaps the most interesting aspect of Steambot Chronicles, though, is the personality and choices on offer. At the start of the game, you complete a personality test that determines how people within the game react to you, and there's even a moment partway through the game that allows you to decide on a hero or villain playthrough. Replayability, cool aesthetic, unique gameplay, Steambot Chronicles has it all. It might be a sin to recommend a PS2 hidden gem that's available on PC and Switch, but in fairness, the port of Soul Nomad and the World Eaters is just that, and also we can sin a bit if we want. We aren't on Weight Watchers or the Puritan family out of the witch. Remember, sin, sometimes, it's fine, it's alright. Yeah. Developed by Genre Legends NIS, players control Raver, someone who's been tasked with defeating the magical weapons known as the World Eaters. Their former master, the Demon Gig, is imprisoned inside Raver, and the dastardly devil keeps trying to tempt Raver towards the path of evil. Players can create squads of characters from one of 25 different classes, and the squad formations, known as rooms, provides various bonuses and benefits that make the strategy aspects really sing. Easy to pick up, fun to play with a great story, Soul Nomad and the World Eaters deserves more attention, especially for its evil playthrough. As for how to play it, that port is basically just the PS2 game re-released on modern platforms. At least if you played it via some other arcane means, you could boost the resolution and force a widescreen aspect ratio. Get the spellbook out. Regardless of how you choose to play Soul Nomad and the World Eaters though, many can agree that this is a strategy RPG that might leave you in tears. Capcom were positively prolific when it came to developing and publishing games for the PS2, but one game that flew under the radar was Crimson Tears. Senu Munu is here to put things right. It's a Capcom published game that's basically Power Stone plus beat 'em up. Responsive and fluid gameplay, some light fan service, atrocious voice acting. The full package. As someone, who didn't know how to say 3 for most of my adult life, you had me at atrocious voice acting, brother. Set in the far-flung future of 2049, which is basically next week, players can choose from either Tokyo, Katie, or Amber as playable characters, each with their own unique stats and strengths, before descending into the dungeons of Neo Tokyo to try and find loot and kill the boss at the end. If that sounds kinda like a roguelike to you, you won't be too far off, as the dungeon changes during each run, with different layouts and enemy placements to watch out for. If that's not enough, you also need to make sure you don't melt down, as using weapons too much will put you in a berserk state that'll begin to drain your health. It's all Pretty neat stuff. If you like beat-em-ups that offer plenty of weapons and responsive controls, and you're a fan of cel-shaded games on the PS2, Crimson Tears should be at the top of the list of games to play. Unexpected bonus fact for you, or bonus fact? I don't know if that works. The developers of this, Dream Factory, also made The Bouncer. So there you go. Do with that information what you want. I'm going. And I'm back, outro gang. How are you doing? How you been? Listen, remember at the start of the video when I said there are a lot of horror franchises that haven't had any games, and it's kind of weird. Here's one for you, and also an idea. So if you want to make this, you can have this for free. Final Destination, but like Fall Guys. So at some points, you know, a Fall Guy might fall into a bathing machine, some bathing machine, and just get burnt to crisp. Or Final Destination meets Animal Crossing, where just randomly, every so often, you know, Tom Nook would just fucking explode. What'd you think? If you want to see KK Slider get killed by an overzealous fridge, let me know down below. I was Jimmy for Vultures. Be good to have you, and thanks for watching. Bang. Your KK Slider.